The thing that I always come back to though is like, how can all-loving and all-knowing God like create such like cruel things in the world and let things like that happen? Like, you know, cancer, genocide, you know,
right?
Whatnot.
Absolutely. I really get that question. Is your name Hug or Q?
Hugh.
Hugh? What up, Hugh?
Not bad. How are you?
I'm chilling, bro. So Hugh, I am actually a streamer. And what I kind of do is I jump into games with random people and I ask them kind of questions that maybe you wouldn't expect to be asked on Warzone. Do you mind if I ask you said questions?
Depends if they are, but give it a shot.
All right, bet. If you say no, I don't want to talk about it, bro, we'll just play the game. We'll catch a dub. Yeah. So I ask people what they think about God and why they think so. Not because I want to prove them or argue with them, but I just love to hear where people are at.
Yeah, I feel you, man. You know, I don't know if I believe in God, but you know, maybe I don't know. I don't believe in God. Like, I don't subscribe to a religion, but you know, I definitely believe there's something bigger out there.
Would you think there's like a creator of the universe?
Not necessarily. I'm guessing you believe in God.
I do, yeah.
Stand back for coordinates.
I think for me, the biggest I don't want to say proof for God, but kind of proof for God is that there is a creation, right? Like a lot of people use like a house and a builder situation. Like there can't be a house without a builder. And I think it's kind of similar. Like there can't be a creation without a creator type of deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's kind of like my first point is like, that's where I'm like, okay, I'm convinced there's at least a God. Now, is it the Christian God? That's a whole nother question. You know what I mean? But like, I'm convinced there is a God. There's a creator of the universe, because without a builder of a house, there can't be a house. Without a creator of the universe, there can't be a creator, because what science tells us is like if I put a pen down on a table, right, without me pushing the pen or wind or whatever, the pen's not going to move itself. You know what I mean?
My thing with that is like, if you believe in God and Christianity or Catholicism, do you not believe in like evolution?
So for me, that's a question mark. Could God, do I believe in macro evolution, as they would call saying, we all started at a like literally nothing, right? There was nothing existing, right? There was no living thing. And then there was just suddenly a small microorganism existing. And then from that microorganism, then now me and you are sentient human beings, right? That have emotions and feelings and stuff like that. I would reject that type of evolution. But from a micro standpoint, I would say like, oh, it could be possible. Could humans change over time?
Get to the new safe zone.
Sure, why not? Like adaptation, stuff like that. That seems like it's pretty possible. But from a macro standpoint, negative. At the same time, right? Could God use evolution to create things?
Supply box identified.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean, I've never kind of heard that line of thinking before. Like, why not attribute evolution to God? You know, making things better for his world or whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like people always say like, oh, science disproves God. I'm like, how? I think science proves that God is just really good at his job.
Yeah, that's a cool way of thinking about it. I mean, like, I grew up like Catholic, like I'm baptized, got my communion, all that. But you know, at a certain point, I was just like, man, I don't know if this makes sense.
I get it. Dude, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm convinced that there is a God. I'm convinced that the Christian God is the true God and that he loved us enough to die on a cross for us to reconcile us back to himself and give us eternal life, right? I'm convinced of that. I still have moments these days where I'll be reading my Bible and I open it up and I'm like, what I am reading is literally insane, right? But then I think, but what if it's true? If it's true, that insanity turns to God's goodness. And God's goodness gives us hope, joy, peace, understanding, stuff like that.
The thing
Check.
that I always come back to though is like, how can all loving and all knowing God like create such like cruel things in the world and let things like that happen? Like, you know, cancer, genocide,
Get to that vehicle.
you know,
Right?
whatnot.
Absolutely.
objective.
I really get that question. I think the answer somewhere lies in who's responsible for that. And biblically, what it would say is that
Objectives found.
the responsibility of that falls on me and you because of our sin, because we messed up, because we disobeyed God. It would all start with that, if that makes sense at all.
So it's punishment.
Yes.
That doesn't sound very all loving.
So this is my question to you, or not. This is the description of the God of the Bible, right? Is that he is all loving and at the exact same time completely just, right? Those two things cannot contradict each other, right? So when it comes to talking about, like, let's think about a judge in this world, right? In the United States. I don't know if you live in the United States, but I'm just gonna use the United States for an example. A judge in the United States, right?
Area
If
recon coming
they
up.
were to let bad people off the hook for doing crimes, if that judge, right, say me and you, we commit a crime, right? Whether that's assault, let's say it's assault, right? We beat someone up undeservingly, right? It wasn't in self-defense. If me and you assault someone, right? And the judge goes, hey, I love you and I'm going to forgive you of you committing assault, right? Everybody, there would be outrage. It's like, wait, what? That's not a just judge. That's a judge that's a corrupt judge. That judge isn't all loving to what should be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
So similar with God, right? Is God is fully loving, 100%, but he's also completely just. And because of his complete justice, he has to punish evil, and he rewards good, 100%. He rewards good, but he has to punish evil.
Then I would argue that, you know, babies who are born with diseases and, you know, people who have been religious their whole life, you know, they suffer. You know, people who haven't done a bad thing in their life, or, you know, they suffer. They get unjust things happening to them.
So my question to your kind of question would be, has there ever been a good person in which bad things has happened to them? Like a truly good person?
Oh, like a baby.
Like a baby? Okay. So this sin problem, right? Because of this sin problem that has been created because Adam and Eve or they did turn from God, right? And out of that created punishment and because of sin. This sin problem is, yes, it's a personal problem, but it's also a human problem, like all of human race problem. So because of that, all of the human race suffers because of sin, if that makes sense. So there's like there's an individual property of suffering, and then there's also a collective human property of suffering.
Yeah, I guess I kind of understand the
New safe zone highlighted.
I don't want to say logic, but kind of the logic behind that.
Yeah, the rationale.
Right, the rationale. That's kind of like, I feel like I'm a pretty logical person, and I need that like hard evidence to believe in something as obscure as a god, or especially a god to a religion.
So I'm with you on that, right? I'm like, if there's gonna be this whole thing, and like our entire lives should change, and we should give Jesus our entire life, I'm with you that there should be some sort of evidence to that.
But yeah, like I was saying, there's no evidence. Like, there's nothing concrete.
I feel you on that. So this is kind of like my thought, because I'm similar to you. I'm actually really similar to you in that. If Jesus didn't die on a cross, right, and resurrect from the dead, then I should throw my entire faith out the window. But if I can be convinced that he did, from a logical perspective, then my entire life should look like something that honors him. And the reason why I'm convinced that he did actually resurrect from the dead, Jesus had 12 friends, 11 of them died for what they say they saw. And what they say they saw was that Jesus himself died on the cross, resurrected from the dead. It makes no sense to me, right, for them to give up their lives for a lie. Because I don't think any of us, if we were sane, would give up our lives for a lie. So either all of Jesus's followers were absolute maniacs, or Jesus actually did resurrect from the dead. And Jesus's brother, so Jesus had a brother, his name was James. He thought Jesus was crazy. He literally told Jesus, hey, you need to stop what you're doing and you need to come back and serve your family.
Jesus had a brother?
Yeah, Jesus had a brother. And Jesus' brother was like, hey, like, so Jesus' dad, like his earthly dad, died, right? So because of that, Jesus needed to come and be like the man of his household, right? And Jesus' brother was like, hey, you need to come back and serve your family, basically. And Jesus goes, nah, I'm good. So he basically disses his brother because of what he's doing. And then after Jesus' apparent resurrection from the dead, right? Jesus' brother becomes one of the biggest church leaders for the early church and proclaiming that Jesus Christ resurrected from the dead. Like he flips like a 180. So yeah, that's just like my little thought. And for me, for the rationale behind it is history kind of points to the idea that Jesus's followers and the people that were close to Jesus believed that he died on the cross and resurrected from the dead. And for me, I'm like, okay, sweet. I believe.
Yeah. Couldn't that just all be a story though? Like that someone made out?
It could be, but the evidence that, like the historical evidence doesn't really point to that being the case, of people just kind of making that up. Most historians, right, will agree that Jesus had 12 followers, that they believe they saw Jesus. They believe that they think that they saw Jesus resurrect from the dead, and stuff like that. Just the real question at the end of the day is, did he actually resurrect from the dead?
Yeah, some of the stories in the Bible are pretty wild.
I agree with you. They are wild, and and it's like I was saying, like I get to that point a lot of like what I'm reading and what I believe is insanity. But if it turns out to be true, then it's life-changing.
What makes like Christianity the right religion as opposed to other ones which have, pretty strong rationale or, some sort of evidence behind somewhat?
Yeah. I think it all comes down to the resurrection. Yeah, I think it still comes down to the resurrection of Jesus. If Jesus didn't resurrect from the dead, right, then I have no reason to be a Christian. But if Jesus did resurrect from the dead, the only thing I should be is a Christian, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I would subscribe to that, but I don't think he resurrected from the dead,
Contract objective.
And if you think that, right, I'd be like, hey, don't be a Christian, right?
So my grandma's super religious. She believes in the I forget what it's called, but like the day of darkness, where like all the lights go out and it gets dark out, and if you look outside, you die. Do you believe in that?
I do not know. I've actually never heard of that.
Yeah, I can't recall what it's called exactly, but she's very religious, and she believes in all the like, I don't know what to call them, almost like prophecies and like all the really weird stuff. Not that it's all kind of weird, but
yeah, I'll be honest, I've just never heard of that, so I would love to give you an opinion on that. I literally can't.
Yeah, 3 days of darkness. That's what she believes.
Yeah, people in my chat are saying that that's not like a Christian. It's not really like a Christian belief.
Yeah, she's a Catholic. I don't know the difference enough to if that's like maybe a Catholic.
Yeah,
what is it? Christianity is the branch, and then or the like umbrella, and then there are different branches of it.
Or Christianity would be the tree, and there's a bunch of different branches for it.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to describe it. Hey, dude, it was really good playing with you, homie.
Yeah, GG. Yeah, it was a good stuff.
Hey, good talking to you, dude. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Yeah, you as well.